Astoria residents joined Councilmember Costa Constantinidis and other elected officials and community leaders to rally in support of climate action. The rally was held on April 28th at the Great Lawn of Astoria Park in Queens in honor of Earth Day and just the day prior of the People's Climate March on Washington. Apart from Councilmember Constantinidis, the rally was addressed, among others, by Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney, State Senator Michael Gianaris, Assemblymember Aravella Simotas, Global Kids, and Astoria Park Alliance. All speakers talked about the great need to protect our environment and expressed their sincere concern and frustration for the recent proposed 30% budget cuts to the Environmental Protection Agency and President Trump's executive order rolling back environmental protections and efforts to combat climate change, including the Clean Power Plan. Officials discussed how New York City is keeping environmental protection a top priority through legislation that encourages use of renewable energy and helps reduce pollution. Speakers also tasked attendees with keeping the environment as a top priority by giving them a personal climate action plan with advice on how they can combat climate change and improve the environment. The plan includes actions such as calling the EPA to support the Clean Power Plan, joining a local park group, and using reusable bags. Everyone in attendance was given to take home a reusable bag for carrying groceries, shopping, and other items. The rally was part of Councilmember Constantinidis' agenda to combat climate change both through legislation and through community cooperation. The council member has created an online petition with his fellow council member Richie Torres calling for cleaner power generation. The petition also calls on power plant operators to implement a plan to end the use of dirty fuel oils, which are linked to air pollutants that pose risk to public health, including higher rates of asthma. It is worthwhile noting that the legislation put forth by Mr. Constantinidis for environmental justice passed the City Council on April 5th and was signed by the mayor on April 25th.
Costa, you put your words to action, and you're always leading the fight for a clean environment.
It's so great to see so many people here in Astoria Park tonight on this beautiful but a little bit warmer than usual April evening. To have so many people here that believe in climate change, that want to make a difference, that want to send a message to Washington that we can't protect just a little bit of our environment. We can't see a 30% cut. We can't roll back environmental protections. We have to fight against climate change. We have to make sure that our kids can breathe clean air, that we drink clean water, that we have only one Earth. So we have to ensure that we fight for it, and I'm so glad to stand with so many great people tonight.
Yes. And as I mentioned with my previous speakers, you have a big challenge before you, a huge challenge, especially here in Astoria, where we have proof that the environment is being affected with all the power plants.
When you see the power plants here, we know that the zip codes 1101, 1102, and 1106, directly adjacent to the Big Alice power plant, have higher than average for the borough of Queens, both ER and hospitalizations for asthma. Across the board, whether you're 1 month old or 100 years old, you are seeing higher than average asthma rates. What does that mean? That's time lost from school, that's time lost from work, that's real health effects, that's economic activity loss, that's economics for a family, having to make the decisions about whether or not I'm going to buy an asthma pump or I'm going to be able to buy my groceries today. Those are real consequences for residents here in Western Queens that are unacceptable. So we have to fight for cleaner air. We have to hold the power plants to a higher accountability and make sure that at the end of the day that we have a community that can continue to thrive and free of pollutants in our air.
And finally, anything else you would like to share with us, any special legislation you're working on?
Well, we just had a hearing on Monday of our bill that would scale back the use of number 4 oil, which is the bad stuff they're using in the power plants. They right now have the ability to burn it for another 13 years. We want to cut it back by 5. So we want to make sure that we have cleaner air quicker. We're talking about saving over 200 lives citywide by doing that, because we see over 2,000 deaths a year because of poor air quality. So we need to do better. We're doing that with this bill. The mayor signed our environmental justice legislation to protect communities on Tuesday. We're rallying here today for Earth Day, And moving forward, we're looking to green our ferries, and as the ferry comes, we're going to try to get biofuel in our ferries to make that cleaner. So the fuel there, as we bring a new transportation mode, make that clean too. So we are working every single day. I just want to thank you, as always, Elena and AKTINA, for being the voice of the Greek community and doing all whether it's radio, whether it's TV, making sure that we're getting the news and keeping people informed. So thank you.
I thank you and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Senator Gianaris, here we are, one more rally in Astoria for the environment this time around. Your impressions?
Well, I'm glad to see so many people came out on this day. It's a beautiful night to be sure, but it's an important cause. So we've been fighting for the environment in this part of Queens for a long time because of all the power plants, of the airport, of the highways. We have a lot of asthma, a lot of emphysema, a lot of health consequences for the people that live here, and we've been fighting that for decades. And that was hard enough, but we were making some progress. Now with the federal government trying to roll back the EPA and roll back the regulations that keep us safe, it's more important than ever that we have to stand up and fight harder. And that's why everyone's here today. This is in conjunction with the march in Washington tomorrow, because we're just trying to make our voices heard and hopefully send a message to the people in Washington that don't want to believe in science, that there are drastic effects happening to our climate that are affecting all of us that need to be stopped.
And you touched upon during your remarks about the power plants that you were able to shut down. And as I mentioned before in other interviews, that was our first story when we launched AKTINA TV. And there's still more power plants here in Astoria that need to be shut down.
Yeah, that was the issue that got me elected for the Assembly many, many years ago. And we've been making some very good progress. It's a hard fight every time because these energy companies have a lot of money and they fight very hard. But we managed to close down the biggest polluter in the area. We managed to get some of the other ones to act in a cleaner way and cleaner fuels. But now we're not finished yet. And Costa is doing a great job at the city level of trying to make sure that they don't use the dirty fuel that pollutes the environment. And we have a lot of work to do. I mean, it's become harder, not easier, because we now don't have any help coming from the federal government. So we have to do it all ourselves.
So without this help not coming from the federal government, just explain to our viewers the challenges. That means that you cannot pass legislation?
Well, we used to have allies in government in powerful places that when we tried to pass laws to make the power plants cleaner or to reduce emissions from any source, including cars and other emission sources, we had a very powerful ally in the Environmental Protection Agency and the federal government that would work with us to try and figure out how to do that. Now we have a climate change denier who's running the EPA, and that's going to make it harder because they're going to now stand in our way and try and stop us from doing these things instead of helping us get there. And it's hard enough to fight some of these industries that are making so much money by polluting the way they are. At least if we had the power of the federal government with us, that gave us a fair fight. Now that they're against us, it makes it that much harder.
Well, good luck.
Thank you, Elena. Thanks very much for covering this.
Thank you.
If we want to make sure that this earth is here for us, for our children, and the next generation, we have to get our act together, guys.
Assemblymember Simotas, here we are again.
Here we are in this beautiful park.
Yes. So your impressions on tonight's rally?
It's very important that communities, states, and really the entire country stand up together and say in a united way that climate change is real, and we demand our leaders in Washington to do something about it. It's mind-boggling that the leadership right now is failing to either claim or believe that climate change is real, and that we have to do something together to unite to defend our environment. We've done so much in the last 8 years, and it would be so harmful to pull back those provisions.
So you have many, many challenges. What else would you like to share with us?
I think that we have to make sure that we protect this environment for our children, for our future generation. Without our actions or our inactions will really determine whether or not this planet will be a livable space for the future generations. It's really, I think it's so sad that so many people deny, or not so many people, but there's a small percentage of people who deny that climate change exists. It's clear that we have to make sure that we focus on clear air, clean water, and make sure that our food is also healthy and that that our energy is sustainable.